Omar Bakri Mohammed, the founder of the radical movement Al-Muhajirun, declared in early 2005 that the covenant had been broken due to anti-terrorist legislation that resulted in Muslims being detained without trial. He's now barred from Britain, and his organisation was banned after the London bombings. But as I discovered, his followers still occasionally gather.
Tony Blair and his cronies believe they can silence the voice of Islam by arresting a few people here and a few people there.
Anjan Chowdhury, previously Omar Bakri's deputy, is now the British leader of this informal grouping. Omar Bakri has retracted his ruling that the covenant is breached, but his followers say his pronouncement allows individuals to make up their own mind.
In the Battle of the Trench, when the enemies gathered together around the Muslims, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, one day you will conquer Rome.
That covenant is intact, but it's an individual covenant. It's for each individual to assess for himself. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I have a covenant. My life and wealth are protected, and I cannot target the people with whom I live. Other people may feel differently.
So there's no religious justification then for example, the 7/7 bombings in your mind?
Well, you see, you know, for every action, you will need to have a look at the evidences surrounding it. So it's not for me to say that 7/7 is justifiable or not justifiable. I would urge anyone who wants to know about 7/7 to look at the Islamic justification given by Muhammad Sadiq Khan, Shahzad Tanveer and others in their wills. And I think that explains everything.
Until we feel security, you will be our targets. And until you stop the bombing, gassing, imprisonment and torture of my people, we will not stop this fight. We are at war and I'm a soldier.
If you bomb Muslims, if you kill them...
The march to Paddington Green Police Station in London was to protest at the arrests of members of the banned movement. Some are now reassessing the status of the covenant and their relations to a non-believer or kafir. They argue that Muslims have been arrested simply because the government considers their views unpalatable.
Where do I go from here? I have two choices. I join the Mujahideen in Iraq and Afghanistan to kill British and American soldiers, no problem. Good deed, yeah? Or I stay here. You know, and I wait for this man to enter with his muddy boots, to dishonour, to humiliate me in my own household. Well, the Islamic principle says, you know, if you raid a Muslim's house like that, you take your life in your own hands. It's allowed for me to kill him. This man comes into my house, it's allowed for me to kill him.
Is the covenant of security perhaps in danger of being broken again?
Oh, very much in danger, very much in danger. I mean, look at it. How are you, I want to ask you a question. How are you going to know when the covenant is broken? You will know when you wake up and there's blood on the streets of London.
They need to identify the enemies of the religion and take action. That action is not demonstration. What I'm talking about is real action. They need to arm themselves because Allah says that the kafir would wish to see you negligent of your arms and baggage, so they will attack you in a single rush. They need to arm themselves to prevent the kafir from coming into their home, terrorizing their families, frightening their children, and invading their privacy.
When you say that British Muslims should arm themselves, that might seem then to justify the kind of legislation that's been brought in to control the faith and indeed to arrest people for saying certain things, all the very draconian legislation that's been brought in.
Well, hardship is going to have and has been always part of the struggle. We will lose people. We will have many people arrested. We will have many people living in hardship, but that is part of the price to pay because the decision is this. They must arm themselves to make it known that you are not going to come to my home and terrifying my family, and I'm not going to sit there. If I'm going down, I'll take you down with me.
It's messages like these that the government is trying to prevent British Muslims hearing. Clerics such as Abu Hamza have been jailed. Omar Bakri fled the country. Islamic bookshops raided. A recent law makes it an offence to glorify terrorism. But it's not that easy to stop theological debate, especially with the internet. This cough button I see, I mean, it seems quite professional.
Yeah, if someone is having a cough attack, you can push this and then, yeah.
This is Mohammed al-Masri's radio studio. He's an opponent of the Saudi regime who once described himself as the ideological voice of Al-Qaeda. Until 2005, he beamed a radio program into the Middle East.
We have 24-hour broadcasts. In between, we filled with the songs.
What type of song?
A mixture. Praise, divine praise, but also jihadi songs.
Then Special Branch paid him a visit.
A few minutes after the start, someone knocked at the door, quite politely. And then he looked, an English gentleman, white, looking sad. Said, there's a broadcasting going here. Say, so I'm sorry, I have to stop you.
No, don't touch the phone, please. Sorry, can I just... Sorry. Yeah. He mustn't touch any equipment in this ship.
Don't touch anything. Which was really a great action from the Scotland Yard, the Special Branch, because